Hello, this is your first session one on the Reflexology course, and you've either got the course manual, which we've printed out, or you're more likely doing it on from the handout that we've given you, because everything's put in a course manual, but it wouldn't be ready before you need to do this, so you will have it in the student area. So this is looking at the same material that you've got in front of you. So this is for lesson one or session one, and it can be found in the student area, as I say, and you can download it from here, and you can also download the files from the bottom. So let's go through, and this is what we're going to do for each lesson, is I'm going to go through it with you so that you know exactly what to do, because the key thing is it needs to be prepared before the class. Now your tutor is going to go over all the main points, but you will arrive feeling confident that there's not going to be any surprises, because you would have done the work and then you'll know what she's talking about. We won't expect you to know it all, but it will start triggering off the memory of what you've already been, and then you can take part. So anyway, this is at the front of every class lesson or session, doesn't matter what we call it, it's the session lesson. And as it says there, the homework is to be done before session one using the accompanying video. This is the video. So complete the worksheets as indicated before the class. Watch the video on the student area that explains this information. So there is a video in the welcome section up here that goes through the student area. So hopefully that you've listened to that. We've also got the Facebook group for explaining things. So you would have the Ruth Whole book by now, and we're asking you to read chapter 1 and also chapter 7, and these particular, I'll see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Oh yeah, that's good. So hopefully you can see it a bit better now. So this is the Ruth Whole chapter 7, and these pages, and it's all written down. So if you go through this with the information that you've got, print them out if you haven't already, and watch this along with, and then fill in the worksheets using the Ruth Whole book. It's all in there, and we tell you if it isn't in there, we tell you what pages to look in and everything. Yeah, we look after you, don't worry. So what we want you to do is watch the relaxation video that's in the student area in session 1 section. This is where I'm looking now. This is the same. I'm looking at exactly what you'll find, and if you go down the bottom here, you'll find that video. So you need to watch that video and see if you can have a little practice, if possible, with someone in your house. Children, if they'll keep still for more than 2 minutes, but just have a look at it at least before the first lesson, and then there's no surprise. That is what the relaxation technique is, and that is the beginning of the treatment. It's to relax the foot, as it says. So you need to design a contraindication sheet, and in Dropbox, which you may have access to at the moment, I'm not sure, there are examples of a contraindication sheet. So don't get worried about it. It's not a consultation form, it's a contraindication form. And contraindications is whether you can or can't treat. It's to make sure that it's safe for you to treat and that you're not going to do more harm. And also to find out if, say someone's got epilepsy, well, it's perfectly fine to treat them, but you need to know in advance, because if they start fitting, you need to know what to do. So if you're not sure what to do, then you wouldn't treat them. But it'll do them good if you can, provided that's when you'd need your first aid. The contraindications is a huge subject, and your tutor will go over this in detail. And it's a theme that goes throughout the course, because as you do your clients and your family and friends, you'll come up against something and you'll talk it over with your tutor or ask about it within our private Facebook group without naming names, so that it can be answered. So it's a running theme. You don't learn it. It seems like you're learning it all at once, but trust me, you're not. So this is the subject area. So this is basically the lesson plan. It's a big, there is a lot. This is the biggest section of homework, actually. So don't think this is going to be like this for every time, but get this done. It's all part of the coursework, and the examiner will want to see this, whether you type it up on your computer or write it out. It's all got to be done. So let's have a look at this first thing, completely for the class, the power of touch. So the first comforting touch we feel as babies is of our mother's skin. I'm going to make this a bit bigger. And as a therapist, you'll be touching others regularly. So it's important to look at the power of touch and the appropriateness of it. This is something that will be discussed in the class. So, but put some things, so list some ways that being touched can help someone. So there's a clue there, it can reassure. So if you've got a close friend who's had some bad news, you would give them a hug, wouldn't you? If even if you didn't know someone and COVID isn't a problem, say we'll pretend for now that COVID isn't a problem. Yeah, we'll pretend it isn't a problem. So if a child needs comforting, your child, I know you have to be careful with other people's children these days, but touch is very comforting. You know, Hippocrates, who's the father of medicine, he said that a touch can heal bones, because he was very much into massage, and it releases endorphins into your body, and other hormones as well. Oxytocin is another one. So it really does help to calm down. So is touch something that is actively encouraged in British society today? Well, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because from what I understand, and I don't teach in the like in education, but with the 7-9-year-olds, but it became like a rule that you couldn't touch the children, you know, couldn't hug the children, and you couldn't do this and you can't do that. So there is that side of it, but I think we are getting better at hugging in a non-COVID environment. So have you noticed any change? So you put what you like there, you put your thoughts, and when you discuss it with your tutor, this will be, and we may have people from different cultures, different backgrounds, which everyone's got a different background. And so it'd be different. If you've got someone that's Spanish and they're all very touchy, more touchy-feely, aren't they? In general. Have you noticed any changes of attitude towards touch? So put what you feel, and then because a loving touch is a gift we can all share, because one of the things is it's a comfort. And I know not all children are brought up in an environment where the touch was a comfort. We know that, but it's still something that people seek, and there's many adults that are it's affecting them what happened in their childhood through having not the right touch. And if they did have the right touch, it's something that people still seek as an adult. It's the appropriate touching that we're thinking about. So the early history of reflexology, and you've got the picture here. Can't go up. Here we are, pictogram. That's a pictogram of the tomb of the physician. Okay, it's thought to date from, I can't remember the exact date, but it'll be in here, and it's something like 2000 BC. So look at the history of, here we are, 2330 BC. It's in the book, in the Ruth Hole book, and with that picture, it's a famous picture for reflexologists. And that's where you'll find a lot of the history. There's a picture there of William Fitzgerald, and who is called the father of reflexology. The translation above this image reads, "Please do not hurt me." And the physician says, "I will work so you will praise me." Can't guarantee, I don't know that myself, obviously. So who is the father of reflexology? And you put the name along there, and this is Sir William Fitzgerald. He discovered zone therapy, and that's something that you'll be looking at in the subsequent pages. Who is the mother of reflexology? And that is this lady here, Eunice Ingham. And she also coined the phrase reflexology. She was a young physiotherapist that worked with Joe Shelby Riley and his wife Elizabeth. So she was a physiotherapist, and the zone therapy had been discovered by William Fitzgerald, and Dr. Joe Shelby Riley picked it up, and then she was working for them, because what they were doing is using this zone throughout the whole body, the zone therapy. But she thought, well, if you're working throughout the whole body and the zones end at your feet and hands, why don't we just work on the feet and hands? So she mapped out the feet. She was really before her time. She's written 2 terrific books that are sold as one book now. You can get it on Amazon for about £6, and I would really, really recommend it. Eunice Ingham, Stories That Feet Have Told. Yeah, look that up. And it's very, very readable. Very readable. So she mapped the feet. Who brought the reflexology to England? That was Doreen Bailey. Bayly. I don't know why it's not letting me go down here. How annoying. And she brought it to England from Eunice. And the Bailey School of Therapy is still running. She's no longer alive, Doreen, but it's run by Nicola Hall now. So can you remember anything else from your history essay? So you've been doing an essay about history and learnt about Joe Shelby Riley and other people. So jot down some things that you've learned, and then you can discuss them with your tutor. So there's a lot to complete, I know. So zone therapy is based on the concept, and this says here, this is page 12 of the Ruth Hole book. So you find page 12 of the Ruth Hole book, and lo and behold, it's got the answers. So zone therapy is based on the concept that there's 10 longitudinal zones that go from the, what's it got? Yeah, she hasn't got a picture of it in here. Oh yeah, there's sort of a picture of the zones here. You've got it in the folder anyway. From the head to the toes, and energy travels through the zones and connecting every part of the body. So disturbance in one part affects the other part. So applying pressure to any area in the feet or hands will stimulate the flow of energy throughout the whole body. So pain and disturbance in any part of the body can be relieved by pressing the reflex on the hands and feet. So supposing that was a foot, and this was my big toe, and this is actually, can you see that? This was the neck area, but it is a neck area. So if I work along here, then because the neck's in this zone, it's going to affect my actual neck as well as the neck reflex. We call it reflexes, that's here. So it's, as it says here, the big toes are in zone 1, but actually the big toe, which is like the thumb, also reflects all 5 zones. So they represent the whole of the body. So look at the structures of the feet that most closely resemble the shape of the corresponding body part. And the answers are not in the Roof Hole book. So this is something that your tutor will go over you with. So the structures of the feet, because this was Doreen Bailey that said that, and Hannah Marquette, she said that the structures of the foot represent the body. So that's a really interesting one to look out for. And we know that because the eye, which is in this zone, and the kidneys here is in the same zone, that working the kidney will affect the eyes and vice versa. So this is zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is zone 1. So anything that's in zone 1 in the foot is going to affect everything all the way up that zone. So here we have an illustration of the zones. You see, it's starting in the middle, and there's the zones in the head, and the foot. Can you see it's got this? They've got 5 zones in there, whereas really the zone 1 would be down here to 1 to 5, 1 to 5 on the outside. This is another way of displaying the same information. It's in colour, so that's a bit more interesting, and you can spot it. Zone 1 down the middle. And here we have the corresponding zones here. These are the transverse as well. So this is putting the areas of the body, as you see here, are covered with this part of the foot. You see, so the upper part is the lungs and the chest and the shoulders. Your shoulders are here on the outside, just as they are here. And then you've got your upper abdomen here. So on this foot, you would have your liver. And over here, you'd have your stomach. You won't have to take all this in. It's just having an overview that this is how the foot's divided up, okay? So that's the lower abdomen. And here we have the hip area, where there's an awful lot going on. Well, in all this, with the digestive area in the hip area, because you've got all the we've got the ovaries, the testes, the uterus, the prostate. There's a lot going on in that lower part of the body, that as well as the actual hip, that you're going to be able to help if people have got painful hips. It's an amazing therapy that you're learning. So here we are, zone theory to reflexology. Eunice Ingham, she believed that we could identify the feet as a target, and so she mapped out the feet. And this is a great illustration showing the feet on top, superimposed. Can you see there the head and the lungs coming out? So you can see that the foot chart will start making more sense once you realize it is just the top is the head, and the bottom here is the lower half of the body. And you see some of it, you've got the lungs on both sides, but you've only got one heart, and your heart's more or less in the middle, but over to one side, isn't it? You've got your liver over here. You're doing anatomy and physiology, and you won't know all this at the moment about what is where, but you will do. This is the stomach that's more on this foot. This is the foot that's on your right here, but it is the left foot. You're looking at someone as if these feet, as if someone have got them in front of you on a chair with their feet up, and then you look at their head and you can see, oh yeah, that's the side is actually where this is, and that's where that is. And you can see that the colon goes from up here across the 2 feet and down again, because it's going from one side of the body. So they're not symmetrical. They're not the same, the feet, are they at all? So how does reflexology work? Page 16. This page represents a group project, okay? And your tutor will divide this up when you get into the class. So there's lots of things here, and instead of looking them up individually, you can do if you like, but this is this can be a group project, and you put it all together and you've got all the answers to the different theories. There are so many explanations about how reflexology works that nobody has got the definitive and knows exactly, to be honest. I like to say it works by magic, because nobody really knows. The benefits of reflexology in a nutshell: well, to achieve homeostasis, that's the balancing of the body. And this is another hugely fantastic illustration here, showing the body and the feet and how it all fits together. And it's in colour too. And that is a great one for you to look at and study to see, oh, I see now how the foot chart comes into being. So it's really a fantastic, non-invasive. People don't have to take their clothes off. It's absolutely great, and it reaches the parts that other therapies can't reach. I've actually had a new mother with her baby in the bed with her toddler as well, because there was a bit of a surprise baby, not a year between them. And so the toddler's crawling all over the mum, and there's the new baby, and she got a bad back. And I could actually access her back through her feet and ease her back problem. So it's a marvelous tools that you're going to have in your hands. So when the first thing you need to do is memorize this paragraph, or your tutor may have another one, but this is my favorite. Anne Galanders. Anne Galanders is a reflexologist, and she created the foot chart that we use. So Anne Galanders, she lives in Essex. So if you can memorize this, then you wouldn't believe the amount of times that people ask you, what is reflexology then? And you just come up with that. Reflexology is a science that deals with the principle that there are reflexes in the hands and feet relative to all organs of the body. And applying pressure to these points can bring about amazing results. Reflexology relieves stress, normalizes functions, balances the body, and relieves pain. Because reflexology relieves stress and brings about relaxation, the body balances itself. So the effects of reflexology, this is from page 26 of the Ruth Hull book. So find the Ruth Hull book, and here we have the effects of reflexology. So it's a deeply relaxing and treatment, and through relaxing the body, it reduces the body's need for excess or unnecessary sympathetic responses. If you haven't done the endocrine system yet, you've got the autonomic nervous system, it's called, and they work in conjunction with each other. And one's called the parasympathetic, that's like a parachute and it comes down nice and slowly. And the other one, the sympathetic, goes like this, and it works with your adrenals. You know, when you get full of adrenaline, well, the nervous system has something else. It's the autonomic nervous system, and that kicks in quicker. Can you imagine? Nerves are much quicker than hormones. Hormones travel around your body in the bloodstream, but the nerves can kick in straight away. So the sympathetic part of the body will put you up here all full of stress, and the reflexology will help to calm you down and bring the parasympathetic into play, which normalizes your body with homeostasis. And I mean, that's marvelous, because once your body's got that balance, it can fix itself as far as it can. So this is the wonderful thing that reflexology can do. So fill in those gaps using the Ruth Whole book. So this is another thing. It's in the Ruth Whole book again, page 27, the circulation of the system. So this to fill in here is exactly what you're going to find in the Ruth Whole book. So it is estimated that our body has over 60 billion cells. And every single one of these cells needs oxygen and nutrients to be delivered. So have a look at that, fill it in using the Ruth Whole book. And you've got a note here. So remember this, pages 12 to 14. Actually, I might have got the numbering wrong there. Oh, this thing. Let's have a look. Here we are. It's actually page, yeah, it is page 12 to 14. But please look through from page 29 to 34 in the Ruth Whole book regarding contraindications. Yeah. So this will be covered in the classroom about contraindications. We're not expecting you to fill it in about acute and undiagnosed pain. There's another one here, epilepsy. And this does not mean that you can't treat. If it's undiagnosed pain, no, you can't treat. But it could be like osteoporosis, for instance. The contraindication is it's really a caution, because if someone's got osteoporosis, which is brittle bones, if you pull their toes, which is part of the treatment, you could break a bone. So you have to be much more gentle. So we'd need to know with a medical consultation before each treatment what somebody has got, to make sure that you give them the best possible treatment without causing them harm. So this is another one to complete. Reactions to reflexology used to be known as the healing crisis. This is also on page 285 of your Ruth Whole book. So it could be that there are reactions, and so we want to avoid someone having a healing reaction to their treatment. And I've left healing crisis in there. It should say healing reaction. So you don't go too hard on the first treatment. You use a lot of relaxation techniques, and so it's short and light. Yep. So remember, it's a very powerful tool. Fill in the rest of the gaps using the Ruth Whole book, and then it would embed it in you. Yeah. So during treatments, possible reactions. Again, look this up in the Ruth Whole book. Possible reactions, because what we're doing, we're calming people down. And if someone does get anxious and starts crying during the treatment, which they can do, some people, because it's relaxed them so much, they get very emotional, because maybe nobody's touched them therapeutically like that. Or maybe they live on their own and they're very lonely, or they've got problems that they haven't told anyone about, and they're not necessarily going to tell you, but they're just keeping it in, and you've brought a barrier down, and they can start crying. So you just get your box of tissues and you give them the box. You don't just hand out one, you give them the box of tissues, and you then calm them and you relax them, and you don't just carry on the treatment. You hold the feet. Your tutor will show you that you're your hands against their feet, and if they want to talk, don't encourage them to talk if they don't want to talk. And when they're ready, you can continue the treatment, or you could gently massage the feet, but you just keep contact with the feet the whole time, and then carry on. It could be that they get very cold during the treatment. And so always have a little blanket to hand so you can put it over them. It might be that they get very hot, so allow them to tell you how they feel. So if they are uncomfortable, they might suddenly get a backache because for some reason they've been sitting in a difficult position and they haven't told you, so have a cushion nearby. As it says there, they might faint. I've never had anyone faint on me. Or had a diabetic reaction. It's very important that you have a first aid certificate, and so you can start looking to see about getting one of those, and we can advise you about where to go. So a diabetic reaction is could be that their blood sugar levels are too low, and so therapists would keep a maybe a piece of a sweet nearby, so that just in case. Usually diabetics, when they're going to a therapist, are very, very aware of their health. If they're going to see a nurse, actually it's very different, because they expect them to be able to look after them. But if they go to paying for therapy treatment, they're usually people that look after themselves very, very well, and will have something in their bag to take. So after the treatment, they may pee more, they may go to the toilet more, they may feel very sleepy, they may feel energized. Usually the treatment, because it's balancing, it gives what they need, and it could be that they just need to sleep because they have exhausted themselves and they haven't had a good night's sleep for goodness knows how long. So then they're going to feel very, very sleepy. So it would be best, if someone's extremely stressed, not to do them first thing in the morning, because they might have to then pick the children up and take them to a club or something, and then they're tired. So it's according to the individual, isn't it? But you don't know that's going to happen. You don't know that's going to happen. It could energize them. But if it's really unusual, nothing really out of the ordinary should happen. There could be a coincidental reaction that is odd, and so then they should go to the doctor. So one of the things you're going to do is the relaxation exercises that's on the video that I'm going to show you, and it's to soften and relaxing the feet, and it starts a treatment. It gets them used to your touch, and it can be used as a relaxing treatment in itself. And this would be a lovely one to do for the children, because you will also learn a foot massage as well at the end, and they're lovely to do. So this is what we'll give you words and pictures to guide you. And so there's ankle freeing, the boogie, side by side, toe rotations, wiggle, wiggle, pull, pull, and all these things you will learn in the video. And then when you get into the classroom, you'll have a good idea of how it goes. So here we have the foot chart that we use. This is the Angelanders one that I told you about. And it's got the feet, it's got the head at the top. And do you remember we went down and we saw the different parts? So you've got the lungs up here, the shoulders at the side, and then it was divided up into the upper abdomen. So you've got your liver, and then you don't get too worried about learning all this. Your teacher is going to do this bit by bit. You've got some blank foot charts that you're going to be colouring in a small, very small portion of it. We don't expect you to come in and learn all this, so don't try. So this is something that we will be going over with you. Now there are some boxes that you've got there's more than these, but this is just an example of the boxes to show you that this will be done, sometimes will be done in class together with the tutor, but some will be done, but you'll do most of them at home. Yeah, and I tell you there, 259, the Ruth Whole book. So you don't fill it in on this, you've got a whole thing of the boxes, which will be in your Dropbox. I can also put them on here, and we can put them on the Facebook group so that you can easily find them, and then you print them off and you fill them in and keep them in a folder. So here we are, the Ruth Whole book. It's in the yellow pages. The yellow, I don't know if you can see that. The book is blue, and then it's got some yellow pages, and that's where these, it's got not everything in here, but for instance, it's got sinusitis, direct reflex, it says the sinuses, there's a surprise, and associated reflexes. Well, you've got a whole list there. You won't be able to see this here, but you've got head, adrenals, liver, spleen. So just choose two. And also it says description of sinusitis. And it's got here inflammation of the sinus, because itis is always inflammation of something. Inflammation of the sinuses characterized by pain, tenderness, and swelling. So put a little bit in there, and you're learning as you go about disorders and diseases, you see, and how it relates to reflexology. So let's have a look what we've got next. This is how you're learning the thumb walking or the caterpillar walking method, and that you can practice this on your own arm, because what it is, you are creeping along like that. So you're not jumping along, you're keeping contact the whole time and creeping along, and the smaller bite you do going down, this is why you need short fingernails, the better, because there's 7,000 reflexes in the base of the foot, and you can miss one, couldn't you? You can use your finger as well. So you can practice on your arm. You can also, what you could do is practice on your hand, because this here, from here to here, is your spine. So you could practice thumb walking on your own spine. So you walk up. You wouldn't need to hold it like that. You'd have it in your lap. You'd have it that way. So you'd just be holding it like that. And then going over to where the thumb starts, because that's equivalent to the big toe. And where it joins here, that's equivalent to the neck. So this is the neck. And give you a bit of an advance there. There's also the hooking up technique, which is just, imagine that was my thumb. You go in and you come up. So you press in and you come up. So you're not sliding off, you're keeping control. And how do we end up? So then you've got a reflective journal, and this is for the class itself. So how did you feel after the class? And this isn't the actual class. This is the prelude to the class. The tutor's got exactly the same information, and then she will go over and you will get her take on different things as well. So you're getting 2 bites of the cherry. I hope you've enjoyed going through this with me, because here's the video that you can go through, and I'll also put on here the relaxation techniques, the words and pictures. I'll put that under here so that you can easily get it. But yeah, and so we'll see you soon. So don't forget, fill in all the gaps, use the Ruth Whole book, and any problems on the Reflexology Facebook group.